Hello, and welcome to Starting Your Data-Driven Journey through FME 2022. My name is Laura.
Hi, I'm Nampreet, and we'll be your hosts as we take a journey through some of the new highlights in FME 2022, along with the rest of our trusty race team and pit crew.
So why are we here today? So there's a lot of underutilized data out there. Often it's sitting in data silos and not in a location or format that lets you actually use it easily. So that's where FME comes in. We built FME to let you get that data out of your silos, clean it up, and put it where you need it the most in whatever form best suits the way you work. Between each release of FME, our team works hard to improve and evolve the FME platform. We'll be showing you what to expect this year. So Nampreet, let's kick off this tour.
As Laura just mentioned, between each release, we're constantly looking under the hood of FME, making improvements to the FME engine by incorporating your ideas and feedback into the platform and anticipating future trends in data integration. As a result, over the years, FME has grown into a complete data integration platform, and with FME Server originally providing an easy way to schedule and automate your workflows, it's matured into a full orchestration tool with the introduction of automations and no-code app creation in recent years. Laura and I are going to take a quick look at some of the highlights of how FME has evolved to help you make the most of your data. Laura, do you want to get us started?
Absolutely. So in keeping with this year's racing theme, speed is a big deal. So when you have a lot of data to process, you want it done as quickly as possible. So we work hard on this with every new release of FME, and this year is no different. So we have many transformers that have been upgraded to have significant speed boosts. So in particular, we worked on speeding up our clipping, tiling, and filtering processes.
FME allows you to get the most value from your data by improving your data quality. FME now has 530 transformers that provide countless ways in which you can massage, transform, and validate your data to meet your needs, giving you the flexibility and confidence needed to tackle any data integration challenges you may have. In FME 2022, we're introducing new transformers like the Solid Dissolver and the Schema Scanner. Equally as important is our ongoing work to improve the performance and capabilities of existing transformers like 3D clipping support in the Clipper and vertical and time-dependent coordinate systems now being supported in the Esri reprojector.
And we work hard to continue making all aspects of the FME platform smarter. So over the last few releases, we've made more of FME data aware. So having FME keep track of what's in your data to make creating data-driven processes easier than ever. And we have new features for 2022, including workspace comparison, server app user identities, and server analytics that we'll see later on in this presentation.
FME's connectivity and data reach is broader than it's ever been. Industries are constantly innovating with new and improved data formats and technologies. FME's support for these formats is growing with each release. As a result, FME not only has the best support for spatial data integration, it's used to move data from a large variety of file formats, databases, and web APIs, giving you the power to connect to any number of systems, web services, and platforms. Listed here are a few of the new formats and systems that FME can now connect to as of FME 2022. We now have support for Unfolded's hexagonal format, Spatial Light, CCAN, and OGC certifications for a number of new existing formats. So with greater connectivity, you're better positioned to reach into your data silos and integrate to the rest of your organization's ecosystem.
And last, but certainly not least, security. This is another aspect of FME that has been evolving over the years to help ensure your data and passwords stay encrypted and safe. So new this year is support for SAML authentication for FME Server.
So the team here at Safe Software is always working hard to fine-tune and push the boundaries of FME to save you time and to create a seamless user experience. FME 2022 is geared up with the latest shop tools and improvements under the hood. Set yourselves up for success by giving your team of mechanics, engineers, and strategists the best platform for building your workflows and collaborating with your team. Head over to safe.com/downloads to take FME 2022 for a test drive. Let's hand it off to our trusty race team and pit crew, who will be navigating you through some of the demos showing the exciting new features being released in FME 2022. Hey Jovita, do you want to get us started?
Hello folks, my name is Dravita. I will be your guide for the first loop around the track to introduce you to how FME 2022 is going to help you enhance collaboration and workspace sharing, facilitate easier workspace authoring to create a better user experience, as well as help your data integration workflows go even faster. Let's dive right in to get a better look at how FME 2022 is going to give you a speed boost from the start line for a more seamless user experience across the FME platform to facilitate how you best want to be able to work. So put your helmets on, strap on your seatbelts, ready, get set, start page. Here we are in FME Workbench, and this is the landing page that you'll first see when you first open Workbench. You'll notice that there are some new icons in the Getting Started area here, and this is to help facilitate easier and more seamless experience across the FME platform for you to be able to download straight from FME server instead of going into server and downloading your workspace before being able to get started. Additionally, we've added a workspace from template icon to get you started even faster. Below that, you'll notice our trusty recently opened workspaces. We've revamped it to make it even faster to get started, allowing you to search for recently opened workspaces, such as these clip workspaces. I can now favorite my workspaces to keep them at the top and be able to sort by my favorites, as well as my personal favorite, which is being able to preview recently opened workspaces. By hovering my cursor over a recently opened workspace, I can see the extents of the workspace as a snapshot to be able to see the last saved build as well as the operating system it was last saved in. With this, we'll head into our first workspace. So this is the workspace I'd created in FME 2021.0, opened in FME 2022. What this workspace does at a very high level is to grab the roads, the slowest roads around Surrey, so near the Safe Software office. I've got my reader feature types in the tan or yellow bookmarks on my left, and these are my source inputs where my data comes in. I don't currently have my outputs, but they would be writers, but we'll see this completed in my FME 2022 workspace later on. How do I add a reader and writer? Well, I can go up to the icons up top here for my readers and writers, and I can also type directly into the canvas, such as if I wanted to add a shapefile writer. I could type straight in and enter that. Similarly, with the blue transformers that you see on my workspace, I can add them by typing in an attribute manager. And then I have my inputs and my outputs that I can click and drag to connect my workflow. So with that, let's run this workspace and take a look at the source data. I have it loaded here in FME Data Inspector, which is the bigger version of the visual preview. And as you can see, around the area in Surrey, I've got my CSV as points in purple, which are traffic calming measures such as speed bumps or road medians to slow down traffic. And then I also have my road lines. Let's locate where this is with a background map. I'm going to turn on my new Precisely Maps steel background map to get an idea of where this is. So here it is with my Precisely background map. Let's head back into the workspace now that it's run. Here we're viewing our outputs, and as we expected, we've got line segments of our slow roads around Surrey. Heading over to the translation log, I wanted to direct you guys over to see the revamped log. Now it looks a lot cleaner and easier to read, but in particular, I want you guys to see this whole new transformer column. If I scroll up, you can see that there are transformer names. They're highlighted in blue and underlined, and they look hyperlinked. So let's go ahead and click one of these. I'm going to select my point and line overlayer. And as you can see, clicking on the log, it now meaningfully connects to the canvas, which will help you when you're workspace authoring and to be able to debug more easily. So my workspace in 2021.0 was pretty good, but I didn't have a writer, it wasn't complete. I've been working on this workspace with Sinai, and we've been working on the same workspace on different computers, back and forth, and she's created a solution for me that I really want to be able to integrate into my workspace. Better than just eyeballing it side to side and trying to guess what my changes are, I can now go into File, Compare Workspace Tech Preview. Select the workspace that Sinai sent me. So here we are in Workspace, Comparison, and Merge mode. Workspace and Comparison tracks 3 different kinds of changes. Things highlighted in green, such as these junctions and connections, as well as my new writer feature type, are changes that have been added. Things that are highlighted in yellow are things that have been modified from this base workspace. So as a reminder, this is the workspace I had started with, and these are my changes reflected from Sinai's workspace. And in red, we have our elements that have been deleted. If I wanted to look at this at a more granular level, I could select things that have been modified. For those of you who noticed that I had an upgradable transformer in FME 2021.0, my original workspace, which is the geometry filter, I can open that up to take a look and see that Sinai has updated this transformer for me from version 7 to version 8, with highlights in the dialog to show that things have changed within the dialog. So what does this look like when I make changes in my base workspace? So let's go ahead and remove the attribute remover. So there, it's gone. It's done a recomparison, and it noticed that from my base workspace, that this has become green as something that has been added in the changed workspace. So let's say I removed it in error, and I actually want it back. I can select all of these and go and merge them and bring it back to my workspace. So now you don't have to be afraid when you're authoring that you're going to break your workspace or that you don't know when to get back to the last time it worked. You can use workspace comparison merge. So with that, now I feel confident and I can go ahead and merge all of the changes from Sinai's workspace. With that, we'll head back into the slides to unpack some of these new features that we talked about. So first of all, we talked about a revamped start page with a more seamless user experience across the FME platform that facilitates your workflow. Precisely background maps have been added, so you've got more choice of background maps to use, with 3 options being steel, iron, and bronze. With better logging, you can now more easily debug with a more meaningful connection to the canvas from your log. And last but not least, comparison and merge mode, which facilitates easier collaboration and communication of changes. And it's kind of our first look at versioning. So better collaboration, easier debugging, and workflow authoring are great, but why should I upgrade to FME 2022? Well, FME can be a little bit like car parts. You can put a lot of different parts together to create a new car. Sometimes the parts are already done for you, like transformers or hub transformers, and sometimes it takes a bit more puzzling of smaller pieces to assemble all the same parts. One example I can think of is about clipping surfaces. Let's head into FME Workbench to see why. So here we are. This is a workspace that we pulled off of the knowledge base, and this is our current workaround to be able to clip surfaces. To take a look at the inputs, I'll pull up the FME data inspector that I've already preloaded this. In the background, we've got our data elevation model, which is a raster that will become a surface. And then we've got our polygon, which is our clipping boundary. Heading back into the workspace, what this does is it creates a surface out of the data elevation model, clips the triangles, and then has to rebuild the surface, which is this whole entire blue bookmark here. So this is quite a lengthy workspace in order to be able to clip surfaces. I heard that in FME 2022, we've made some really great improvements to our clipper, and I think the best person to ask about that is Olivia, one of our senior developers from the geometry team. So I think I'm gonna go ask her. Hey, Olivia.
Hi, Jovita.
Hey, Olivia. So I'm working on clipping surfaces, and right now it's a really long workspace. I heard there were improvements to FME 2022 in the clipper, and that it should be a lot easier now. I am a little bit hesitant to upgrade. Could you tell me more about the clipper?
Yeah, so there's a new Clipper version in FME 2022.0. It's Clipper Transformer version 14, and it supports a ton of new geometry types, including surfaces, and it's faster and it's more robust. However, there are some subtle behavior differences in version 14 of the Clipper, so if anyone's interested, you can come to the Clipper webinar on April 13th to learn more. But it is much faster and easier to work with, and I'd love to show you how much faster it is.
I'd love to see it.
So this is a game I like to play called FME Racing. And welcome to our track. On the left, we have FME 2021, and on the right, we have FME 2022. Now, the clipper is much faster in FME 2022 with the transformer version upgrade, so we're going to do that now. And our cars are going to be features streaming through the workspace, so let's give them a start. And I'm actually going to start FME 2021 first to give it a little bit of a head start. And they're off. So I can talk a little bit about what this workspace is doing. So we're taking all of the water polygons in Australia, we are filtering them to only keep lakes, and we are clipping them with the state of New South Wales. And oh, look at them go. And so FME 2022 is finished in 19.1 seconds, and our polygons are going to come up. So you can see these are all the polygons that are Great Lakes in New South Wales. And if I zoom in over here, you actually see that I'm testing to see which polygons are fully inside New South Wales and which ones are just the parts in New South Wales. So this is a lake that is half inside New South Wales. And going back to our racetrack, you can see that FME 2021 is still going. Now I'm actually not going to let it finish because it takes about 3 minutes, which means that this particular workspace is 9 times faster in FME 2022 with Clipper version 14.
That's amazing, Olivia. But do I only get performance gains if I upgrade transformers? What else is faster in FME 2022?
Not necessarily, and it really depends on what your translation is doing. So I have a question for you, Jovita. What has no wheels but runs faster than FME 2021?
I don't know.
FME 2022, of course. So in FME 2022, transformers are translations that filter features may run in 60% less time without needing any transformer upgrades. Processing datasets containing string attributes may run in 25% less time, no transformer upgrades. Using group by may run in 60% less time, again, no transformer upgrades necessary. Using a subset of attributes may run in 35% less time. Clipping geometries, though this would require a transformer upgrade, may run in 97% less time. And tiling geometries, again with a transformer upgrade, may run in 99.995% less time. All right, good luck with your Clipper workspace, and let me know if you need anything else.
So after seeing FME Racing with Olivia, I'm convinced I need to update my Clipper transformer. So this is the output of my original workspace to clip my surface. And now I know I can do the same thing by removing all of this in the blue bookmark. I can replace my surface modeler with a tin generator, because I no longer need triangles that I have to rebuild later. Connect my ports. And a different way to upgrade your transformers is if you look into the navigator, there's this section called Upgradable Transformers. You can expand that, select the transformer you want to upgrade, and hit right-click and Upgrade Transformer. I've checked out this dialog, and I'd like to accept these changes. And there it is, it's upgraded. We'll connect a inspector to our inside port, and we'll run this workspace. So here's our same output with 4 fewer transformers. So this goes to show what upgrading certain transformers can do for you. Do keep in mind that there are subtle changes sometimes, especially across many versions, say from 2015 to today. So be sure to test bit by bit when upgrading to ensure that the upgrade works in your existing workflows. But in my opinion, it is so worth it for the new functionality and the huge performance gains it provides. Here's a recap of the same workspace in comparison mode. In particular, the red boxes highlight what has been deleted from the original workspace. And this next image highlights how simple it is to do more with less, which allows you to get your work done even faster. Now I'll pass the presentation over to Laura.
Thanks, Jovita. And now I'd like to introduce Sinai, who will be showing us some more new features for managing users and data on an enterprise level. She'll be getting into more about Workbench, and we'll be showing what's new in FME Server too.
Thanks, Laura. One of the things I think we can all agree on is that we love good data around here. Good data is like a dependable car, bike, or maybe your favorite bus route. It's reliable and it's going to get you where you need to be when you need to be there. And ideally, you don't even have to think about it. No matter how much traffic and noise there is, you can just sit back, enjoy the ride, and focus on more important things. If this is the future of data, then I'm here for it. And that's why I was thrilled to see that we have a host of new features for the enterprise level user. The features in my next demos are all about managing data and making it accessible to users. To kick off, a couple of these new features include the CCAN connector and CCAN reader writer. And if you're wondering what CCAN is, it's one of the best platforms for centralizing and managing datasets on the web. And many folks around the world rely on it daily for sharing critical information. They might be managing tens of thousands of datasets, all coming from different sources, formats, schemas like a big interstate freeway. Our CCAN connector allows you to create, manage, and download datasets and resources from your CCAN server. So here I could create a new dataset to contain all of my FME 2022 demos. Our CCAN reader writer allows you to write features directly to the CCAN data store. So here I can read in a CSV and write it to our data store row by row. So once I click run, we're now writing all of these rows from our CSV up to our CCAN server. Let's go check it out. So now here on our CCAN server, we're going to have a new resource if I refresh. Here's our Fleet Sheet Management CSV that we just wrote from our workspace. Here we can see it's a fleet management table containing information about fleet vehicles. So what if we need our fleet drivers to be able to update this resource and keep it current? Maybe they can just email us a CSV once a week, once a day, and then we can update it. That's an option, albeit time consuming. Instead, let's put FME in the driver's seat and use a few new features from 2022 to validate their CSV data as it comes in and keep this CCAN resource up to date. Then we can leverage FME servers to make it a hands-off self-serve workflow. In this workspace, I'm using the new CCAN reader to pull in that fleet dataset from our resource. And to get our updates, we can also read in the driver's CSV. Ideally, all of the columns and data types are perfectly matched in their CSV, so we can update those in our resource. But as we can see, this isn't always the case. Sometimes fields, columns, or data types change. Maybe that file was created with old software and new software. Maybe there was a data entry error, you really never know. But when that happens, it's called schema drift, and it's a roadblock on our way to good data. Instead of accidentally submitting this bad CSV data to our resource or tracking down the driver to see what happens, let's try running this workspace with our bad data. And let's put FME on cruise control and see what happens. So we can use a new feature for data validation in FME 2022 called the Schema Scanner. The Schema Scanner works its magic by reading in each dataset schema. Then we can compare them line by line. So in the top here, we have our good schema from our CCAN resource. And in the bottom, we have our bad schema from our driver CSV. In addition to schema drift, the Schema Scanner is going to be a really powerful tool for building dynamic workflows. So if you don't know what your datasets look like before runtime, use the Schema Scanner to find out for you. But in this workflow, once we know the schemas, we can use this feature joiner to see where they match and where they don't. So in our joined port here, this is where our columns match. These are the good parts of our driver's CSV. But in the unjoined ports, we're going to see the columns that either are extra or maybe they aren't there. Either way, our workspace has flagged this as a bad schema, and we can deal with that accordingly. So in this case, we're just going to create a message for our driver, for our end user, saying that their CSV is invalid, or maybe go back and check your column names, anything that we like. But what if they submit a CSV with a good schema? All that data looks correct and we can update our CCAN resource. Well, in our good schema workflow, we can check to see if it's been flagged as a bad schema, but if it hasn't, we can use our new CCAN writer to update our CCAN resource row by row. The CCAN writer can perform these operations on any data store resource, and like many other databases, we can use a feature operation to do so. So the update operation, in this case, would update our CCAN table containing our fleet information on any of the existing rows. But I can tell you from experience that this workspace would fail if there were any rows that didn't match this primary key in our destination table. So this might be if there's a new vehicle added to our fleet, and that's a new row in our CSV. To cover all of our bases, we can take another 2022 feature and use it to perform multiple database operations in one go. So we can use the new upsert operation to perform both inserts and updates. This means that a lot of our database writers have just gotten a lot smarter, including our CCAN writer. Your workspaces are now going to be ready to perform multiple database operations with fewer transformers in that workspace. And in this case, our existing fleet vehicles will be updated and any new vehicles will be inserted. So I think that's all we need to do in this workspace. Without too much trouble, we were able to build a workflow that reads and writes from a CCAN resource, performs schema validation, and can handle multiple database operations. But my end goal is always going to be to put our workflows on autopilot, and there's no better tool for self-serve, automations, and enterprise-level management than our FME Server platform. And to run a workspace on FME Server, you just have to hit the Publish button. And here, many of our users may notice something different about logging into FME Server in 2022. This is our fourth new feature in this workflow. We now have the option to use SAML 2.0 to authenticate with FME Server. So instead of having another password on your keychain, users can just log in with the credentials that they use for everything else. However you choose to authenticate with FME Server, the publishing wizard guides you through the process of uploading your workspace, any data that workspace uses, connections to databases or web services, packages that they rely on. I've already done that, so I'll just unselect those. And then any services that you'd like this workspace to deliver on the web. So that might be providing a link for download or streaming back a result, which is what we're going to use because in this case, we'd like our end user to know whether it was a success or a failure when they submit that CSV. Once I hit publish, our workspace will now be up on FME Server to create an app with. The ability to create self-serve workflows is cornerstone to FME Server, and FME Server apps are one of the best ways to do that. We can create a custom web application that allows our end users to run a workspace. We can give it a name, a title, and a description, so maybe some instructions for our drivers. And then all we have to do is select our workspace that we've uploaded, register it with our preferred service, configure any parameters that we'd like the end user to see, and then we can give it customization. So you can give it your organization's custom colors, maybe images, logos, anything like that. In this case, I'm going to give it an image to display to the user. And once I hit OK, FME Server returns a URL that I can share with my drivers or any end users that I'd like to access this app. Let's try it out now. So for our first test, let's try it with one of our bad CSVs and see if our schema scanner is working as expected and picking up those bad schemas. So I just drop in my bad CSV, so we know that schema is not matching our CCAN resource. And it looks like everything is working as expected. We've got an error message saying that our dataset doesn't match the original schema. And we could return anything we like and customize this message, provide a link with instructions or instructions right here. The choice is up to you. Let's try rerunning this with a good CSV. So I'll drop in a CSV with a schema I know matches our CCAN resource. Once I hit OK, we now get a success message that our CSV has been submitted and everything's looking good here. It looks like our server app works. Now let's see if our CCAN resource was actually updated. So this is our original table on our CCAN resource. So let's just take a note of a couple things here before we refresh the page to see our changes. In total, we have 5 vehicles in our table. We also have some notes about each vehicle. So we can see on our vehicle number 1, a Ford 150, the FME Lizard is reporting an odd rattling noise on hills. Let's try refreshing the page and seeing what's changed. So now we can see our server app looks like it's working because now we have 6 vehicles in our table. We have an additional vehicle here at the bottom, a Volkswagen Jetta. If we look at our notes for our Ford 150, we can see the FME Lizard is updated our table here to report that the rattling is getting worse. That doesn't sound good, but what is good is that the insert part of our upsert is working because we have a new entry on this table, and the update part of our upsert is also working, because we can see that some of these notes and different columns here have been updated with new information. So that's fantastic. Now we have a server app that's ready to share with our drivers, so they can just drop in their CSVs and have that update our CCAN resource in a self-serve workflow. So this demo is packed with new features for improving data quality and accessibility for all of our users. To recap, we use some CCAN tools to allow you to create and manage datasets in a CCAN server. Use the CCAN connector to interact with the file store, or use the CCAN reader writer to perform row-by-row operations on the CCAN data store. The schema scanner can allow you to create dynamic workflows, so you can read in those schemas after runtime. We can also do different data validation tasks like catching schema drift, as we did in this workflow. The upsert operation lets FME perform both inserts and updates in one swoop. So many of our database writers now have this option to use upsert. So you can try it out with our CCAN reader writer, or you can try it with Postgres, Spatialite, and lots more. And we also introduced SAML 2.0 authentication for FME server that's going to give our users more options for logging in. With so many new features, I was curious which feature is going to come in first place. So as you do, I created another server app to turn this into a real rally race. Let's go check out the results. So in this server app, we're voting for which is the best new feature in 2022, or maybe just our favorite. So far, it's just me voting for the CCAN reader writer and the FME lizard, who prefers the CCAN connector. It's a neck and neck race, 50-50, not super interesting yet. So maybe I can now ask my driving team to cast their votes for their favorite new feature in 2022. Fantastic. Thank you so much for voting. I'm super excited to see what our race is at. But before we go look at our results on our server app, let's imagine that I'm a server administrator. How can I quickly tell who's voted on my app without continuously loading that data set? Well, I've got another new feature for FME 2022 that can do just that. From our jobs page, we can now see who and when is running my workspace app and any other workspace run on FME server. So in the ran by column, we can see my driving team have each run this new features workspace app. We could also see other information about that job. So I can choose to display what kind of resources that job is using. I can choose to display timestamps, anything about that job that might be interesting. But now that my team has casted their votes, let's go look at the results now. It looks like we have a few new entries for favorite new features in 2022. If I look at some of these points on the map, we can see that Laura has voted for the upsert function, and we can also see Nampreet has voted for visual workspace comparison. So that's diffing and merging, which we saw earlier with Jovita. It's still looking like a neck and neck race with one vote for each respective feature here. Maybe we can ask the audience now to vote for their favorite new feature in 2022. We'll share the link to this server app in the chat. But let's say you all decide to run this server app at once, and like a traffic jam, our server starts to move real slow. So maybe there's thousands and thousands of jobs being submitted each second. How can I get a bird's eye view of what's happening on my FME server and plan for that in the future? Server Analytics is my last new feature for 2022 that I'm going to share today, but it's a really cool one. Here we can see a dynamic chart that views the activity on our server over time. And I'm using the month time window to see exactly where we started Server Analytics on this server, and we can see our job average throughout each day of that month. I can also reduce this time window to get an increasingly granular view and see exactly when and where jobs are being submitted. We can also use custom start and end dates by using the calendar up here. down to the exact minute that we're interested in seeing. We can also slide this bar along the bottom to use the graphical interface to get another kind of custom view of our server demand. Because we wouldn't run our car until it ran out of gas, right? So with server analytics, we can get a very clear picture of when and where we need more engines and resources on our system. This is going to empower you with the data to administer your FME server best. And don't forget, in that last demo, we also took a look at tracking user identities running apps on FME server. And in case you were wondering, those runtime users can also be tracked for other workspaces that are being run on server. These are both great examples of new features designed for the server administrator in mind. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they shape your workflows and enterprise level management in 2022. But for now, I'll pass it back to my driving team.
Yeah, thanks, Sinai. So as a quick recap of our tour of FME 2022 today, so Javita showed us many new enhancements in Workbench, including visual workspace comparisons, the revamped log file, and clipping improvements. We saw just how much faster the new FME is in Racing with Olivia, and Sinai showed us several new formats and transformers along the way, and some of the new features in FME server.
To learn more about what Sinai, Jovita, and Olivia demonstrated today, and the other awesome features in FME 2022 has to offer, we've got some great resources here for you. Be sure to check out the recording of the FME 2022 release webinar available on the webinars page at safe.com. Our own Mark Ireland, also known as the FME Evangelist, has a series of recorded live streams that take a sneak peek into some of the new features offered in 2022 with our subject matter experts at SAFE. These are available on both Twitch and YouTube. For anyone new to FME, for a quick hands-on intro into the platform, be sure to check out our new FME Accelerator workshop at safe.com/accelerator. And head on over to the FME community, where we're publishing topic-specific articles in our knowledge base on some of the new features you'll see in FME 2022. Finally, take FME 2022 for a test drive. It's an easy download from safe.com/downloads, and remember that you can install multiple versions of FME on the same machine. And if you're new to FME, click on the free trial button to get your hands on a fully loaded FME trial license.
And if you have any questions about finding out how FME can help solve your data challenges, please reach out to us at info@safe.com. And FME 2022 will be available for downloads soon, so keep an eye out on our downloads page to get a free trial or to upgrade to the latest and greatest FME. So thanks for joining us on this wild ride. I hope what you saw today was a good source for inspiration, and enjoy the rest of the World Tour Day.